It happened in the middle of an ordinary afternoon, inside a quiet courthouse flooded with warm sunlight. The man who had spent 15 years believing his wife would never leave him stared at the divorce papers in disbelief. His hands trembled, not because he loved the woman standing across from him enough to fight for her, but because he had just realized something far more terrifying. She wasn't crying. She wasn't begging. She wasn't angry. She wasn't afraid. The woman he had controlled for years had finally discovered a life where she no longer needed him, and for the first time, he understood that losing someone doesn't begin the day they walk away. It begins the day they stop hoping you'll change. If you believe kindness, forgiveness, hope, and second chances can transform lives, please take a moment to like this video, leave a heartfelt comment, share it with someone who may need encouragement today, and subscribe to our channel so our community can continue bringing you emotional stories that inspire compassion and strength. Everyone who knew Maren Whitlock used to describe her as gentle. She had a quiet smile, patient eyes, and a habit of making everyone around her feel comfortable, even when she was struggling herself. She had met Colton Whitlock during her final year of college. He was confident, ambitious, charming, and seemed determined to build a successful future. Their relationship moved quickly because Colton always appeared certain about everything. He knew where they would live, what careers they would pursue, how many children they would have, and what their future should look like. Maren mistook that certainty for security. She believed his confidence would protect their family. She didn't realize until much later that there was a thin line between confidence and control. During the first years of marriage, life seemed happy enough. They bought a modest home with bright windows and planted flowers along the front walkway every spring. Friends admired how organized their household appeared. Colton worked in commercial construction management while Maren taught elementary school. They welcomed two wonderful children, Rowan and Elsie, whose laughter filled every room during sunny afternoons. From the outside, they looked like the perfect family. The changes happened so slowly that Maren barely noticed them. Colton began criticizing little things. He questioned how she spent grocery money. He reminded her that his paycheck covered most of the mortgage. He dismissed her opinions during family decisions, insisting he knew better because he understood how the real world worked. Whenever she expressed disappointment, he accused her of being overly emotional. Every apology came wrapped inside another excuse. Every promise to improve lasted only a few weeks. Years passed, and Maren slowly stopped sharing her thoughts. She convinced herself that avoiding conflict was the same as keeping peace. She smiled through birthdays, school events, neighborhood barbecues, and family gatherings while quietly carrying loneliness that nobody else could see. She loved her children more than anything, and she believed staying together would protect them from pain. She kept hoping Colton would remember the thoughtful young man she had once fallen in love with. Instead, his confidence became arrogance. He assumed she would never leave because she had nowhere else to go. Whenever arguments ended, he simply returned to normal life without repairing the damage. Deep inside, he believed she depended on him too much to risk starting over. That belief became the foundation of every careless decision he made. Everything began changing one bright autumn afternoon when Maren attended a free career development seminar at the local library after school. She almost skipped it because she felt exhausted, but something encouraged her to stay. The workshop focused on educational leadership, professional growth, and opportunities for experienced teachers. Listening to other educators describe their journeys awakened something inside her that had been asleep for years. She remembered the ambitious young woman she used to be before she measured every dream against someone else's approval. Over the following months, she enrolled in weekend certification courses. She studied while the children completed homework beside her at the kitchen table. She rediscovered confidence through learning. Her principal noticed her dedication and encouraged her to apply for an instructional coordinator position within the district. The promotion required extra responsibility, but it also nearly doubled her salary. When Maren shared the exciting news, Colton barely looked up from his phone. Instead of celebrating, he joked that she would probably become too busy to remember how to cook dinner. Everyone at the table laughed awkwardly except Rowan, who quietly watched his mother's smile disappear. That single moment stayed with him for years because it was the first time he recognized disappointment in his mother's eyes instead of simple sadness. As Maren advanced professionally, something unexpected happened. She stopped apologizing for existing. She made thoughtful financial plans, built professional friendships, and slowly created an emergency savings account. She wasn't secretly planning divorce. She was rebuilding herself piece by piece. Confidence replaced fear. Knowledge replaced dependence. Colton noticed changes but misunderstood them completely. He believed she was simply going through a phase. Whenever she challenged one of his decisions, he laughed and reminded her who had always kept the family together. He failed to notice that the person holding everything together had never been himself. One sunny Saturday afternoon, Rowan accidentally overheard his father mocking Maren during a phone call with a friend. Colton joked that wives always complained but never actually left because they enjoyed comfortable lives too much. Rowan didn't say anything, but the words settled heavily in his heart. Later that day, he hugged his mother without explanation. Maren sensed something had happened, yet she simply hugged him back, grateful for the unexpected comfort. Months continued passing under bright skies filled with changing seasons. Maren accepted larger responsibilities at work. Her colleagues respected her wisdom and kindness. Parents appreciated how deeply she cared for every child she served. Outside her home, people recognized leadership qualities she had forgotten she possessed. Inside the house, however, Colton remained convinced everything revolved around him. He continued making decisions without consultation. He assumed forgiveness would always arrive automatically because it always had before. Then came the afternoon that quietly changed everything. Maren was organizing old paperwork inside a filing cabinet when she found a notebook she had written years earlier. Inside were personal goals she had created before marriage. She had dreamed of becoming an educational leader, traveling across national parks with her family, writing children's books, and creating a peaceful home filled with mutual respect. As she compared those forgotten dreams with her current reality, tears rolled silently down her face. Not because the dreams were impossible, but because she realized she had abandoned herself while trying to save a marriage that only one person had been nurturing. She closed the notebook, wiped away her tears, and made perhaps the calmest decision of her life. She wasn't leaving because she hated Colton. She was leaving because she had finally learned to value herself. The following weeks unfolded peacefully. She consulted an attorney, organized finances, arranged living plans, and spoke privately with a family counselor to prepare the children gently. Every step happened during ordinary afternoons filled with sunshine, school schedules, and routine responsibilities. There were no dramatic confrontations. Only careful planning built upon quiet courage. When she finally handed Colton the divorce papers across the dining room table one clear afternoon, he laughed. He honestly believed she was bluffing. He reminded her of everything he thought she couldn't manage alone. The mortgage. The bills. The children. The future. But as he listed every reason she supposedly needed him, he slowly noticed she wasn't arguing. Every concern already had a solution. She had stable income. She had legal guidance. She had housing arrangements. She had emotional support. Most importantly, she had confidence. For the first time in their marriage, Colton realized he no longer held the power he had always assumed existed. The divorce process remained respectful but emotionally painful for everyone. Rowan and Elsie struggled with change, yet both children noticed something remarkable. Their mother laughed more often. She smiled naturally instead of forcing happiness. The house became quieter, but somehow warmer. Stress no longer filled every conversation. Colton expected Maren to call within weeks asking for help or reconsideration. Instead, life continued moving forward without him standing at its center. He attended counseling after recognizing that everyone around him seemed to understand what he had refused to see. His sister gently admitted that she had worried about his behavior for years. Close friends confessed they often felt uncomfortable hearing him dismiss Maren's opinions. Even co-workers remarked that he rarely acknowledged anyone else's contributions. The realization was devastating. He hadn't lost his family because of one terrible mistake. He had lost them through thousands of ordinary moments where he chose pride instead of partnership. That truth hurt more than any courtroom decision ever could. Growth came slowly. Colton learned to apologize without expecting immediate forgiveness. He became more present during time with Rowan and Elsie. He listened instead of lecturing. He attended parenting workshops and individual counseling. Change wasn't dramatic. It was quiet, uncomfortable, and deeply necessary. Meanwhile, Maren continued building the life she had once imagined. She eventually became district director for curriculum development. She mentored young teachers who doubted themselves, always encouraging them to trust their abilities before seeking anyone else's approval. Her home became a place where laughter returned naturally. Rowan discovered a passion for architecture, while Elsie fell in love with painting colorful landscapes inspired by sunny parks and gardens they visited together. Several years later, during Rowan's high school graduation ceremony held beneath a bright blue afternoon sky, both parents sat only a few seats apart. There was no bitterness left between them, only acceptance. They smiled proudly as their son crossed the stage. Life had not returned to what it once was, but perhaps that was the greatest blessing. Everyone had become stronger by facing painful truths instead of hiding from them. After the ceremony, Colton quietly thanked Maren for always protecting the children through every difficult transition. She accepted his gratitude with calm kindness. Forgiveness had found its place, but reconciliation had taken a different form. Sometimes healing doesn't mean rebuilding the same relationship. Sometimes it means creating healthier ones from the lessons left behind. Maren walked toward her children as warm afternoon sunlight surrounded them. She realized happiness had never arrived because someone rescued her. It appeared the moment she stopped believing her worth depended on another person's approval. Freedom wasn't the absence of struggle. It was the presence of self-respect. Before we reach the end of this story, we'd love to hear from you. What do you believe is the most important lesson here? Have you ever seen someone discover their strength after years of doubting themselves? Please leave a meaningful comment and share your thoughts with our community because your words may encourage someone facing a difficult season in life. As the years continued passing beneath countless bright mornings and peaceful afternoons, Maren never celebrated the end of her marriage as a victory over another person. She celebrated it as the beginning of finally becoming herself. Colton carried genuine regret, but he also carried valuable wisdom that transformed the father he became. Rowan and Elsie grew into compassionate adults who understood that love without respect cannot survive, and that true strength often appears quietly, one brave decision at a time. Sometimes the greatest heartbreak isn't watching someone walk away. It's realizing they stopped needing the version of you that refused to grow. Yet even then, hope remains, because every ending offers another opportunity to become kinder, wiser, and more grateful than before. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a meaningful comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss another emotional journey. May this reminder stay with you long after today's story ends. The strongest people are not those who never fall apart, but those who quietly rebuild themselves with courage, kindness, forgiveness, and hope until one day they discover they were enough all along.